We're live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The topic for today is how to be positive when you've got negative people in your life. And wow, what a topic. And I hope I can really add some value to this because I've been there before. And I think everyone goes through that transition because whenever you become who you hang with, you've heard this before. You're the average of the 5 people that you hang around. You've heard variations of those quotes before. And sometimes it's easier said than done, especially if you're in a very close community or you haven't got a big circle of people around you with positive energy. It can be quite difficult. So I want to give you guys some really practical things today so you can actually start to move towards the right people in your life and start to create that mindset and energy about you for you to create the life that you want. So just a little example so this really hits home for you. So right now, I want you to picture and think about what does an inspired life look like to you? What does that look like? It might be financial freedom, time freedom, a beautiful family, traveling the world, having an incredible body that you're proud of, reading all the books in the world, learning, teaching, whatever that is. What does that inspired life look like to you? And just have a little think about that for me. Just take a second, look up, think about it. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. But if you want to, close your eyes and have a think. What does an inspired life look like to you? And for anyone that is familiar with my content, is think of your values. What are your life priorities? And what does a vision for that look like to you? So for me, coaching is my highest value in life. I love coaching. So I have a vision of what coaching looks like for me. My second is learning. I have a vision for what learning looks like to me. I have third is wealth. So I have a vision of what my wealth looks like to me. So what does an inspired life look like to you? Then the next question is who or how would that person, that version of you, how would they feel? What would their energy be like? Would they be confident? Would they be certain? Would they be happy? Would they be whatever? What would that person feel like and be like frequency-wise, energy-wise? I would assume there would be a happier, more confident, more present, more genuine version of you in some way, shape, or form. Now, for you to achieve that, you need to become that person in the future. So say right now, you're not as happy and you're waiting to achieve things for you to be happy to be where you want to be. For you to achieve that inspired life, you need to become that person now, and then you'll actually achieve it. And when I really heard that from Dr. Joe Dispenza, it really clicked for me. So that's where meditation comes into it. That's where, I guess, priming yourself, getting clear on your life's vision and really visualizing what you want has fucking changed my life. So there's a couple points I want to go through on this. So the overall point that I want you to get from this video is you don't achieve and create what you want. You achieve and create who you are. If someone wants to become a millionaire, you don't get it because you want it. You need to become worthy of being a millionaire. If you want to have an incredible family, if you want beautiful children, then you need to become the person that is worthy of that. Because you'll never out-earn or out-create much more or less than your own personal growth. In other words, you attract who you are. If you want to achieve things on a level 10, you need to be a level 10. Okay? You can't just say, cross your fingers and meditate and hopefully achieve it. You need to put in the work. You need to obviously change your energy. You need to work on your shit. You need to learn some skills, learn some whatever. But you need to become worthy of that inspired life. So when it comes to the question, how do you be positive while negative people are around you? It's a fucking good question. It's a good topic. So thank you for asking the question, Dill, in this group. So firstly, just to help neutralize that feeling and hopefully you're not beating yourself up about it, is first thing, I would really want you to understand that there are benefits to everything. It's like the greater the pain, the greater the awakening. There's always benefits to it. So appreciate the benefits for what they are. If you look at many successful people, and of course you can find people that fit outside of this, but a lot of successful people come from a very painful upbringing, or they had a lot of pain that they've gone through to create the person that they are today. I like using Tony Robbins has a great story. He had 5 different fathers. He got kicked out of his home at a very young age. His mother used to think he was lying. She used to hit his head up against the wall until he'd bleed. She used to pour liquid soap down his throat till he'd spew because she thought he was lying when he actually wasn't. And he went through a lot of pain as a child. But that pain, he says it, I wouldn't be the man I'm proud to be today if I had the mum that I wanted. So even though it was painful for him, it shaped him into the fucking man he is today. Look at Oprah Winfrey. I would assume most people know who Oprah Winfrey is. If you don't know her story, she was born to a 14-year-old mother. Her mother was 14 when she gave birth to her. She was in foster care, growing up, parents weren't there. She was sexually assaulted half a dozen times before the age of 14. She fell pregnant through one of those assaults and gave birth to a stillborn child at the age of 14. I don't know about who's watching this, but she had a shitter start than I did. And she had many other challenges. She was fired from jobs because of the color of her skin, because it still is an issue to this day, but it was a lot worse when she was growing up. She's been through more than I've ever been through. But did she use it to hold her back? Did she use it as excuses? No. Did it drive her to become the fucking woman that she is? I guarantee it. So I guess see the benefits by going through painful things that are when you're experiencing negative people who are trying to bully you, bring you down, or hurt you, or whatever it is, trying to hold you back. Remember, they're giving you gifts. They're giving you emotional grit. They're teaching you persistence. They're teaching you how to push through when things get fucking hard. So don't discount being around negative people because they're serving you in some way, shape, or form. Whether they're teaching you skills, teaching you experience, developing your grit, teaching you how to be persistent, teaching you not to give up. So that would be my first tip. If you're around negative people, see the benefits in being around them so you're not as, I guess, judgy on yourself, or you're not too hard on yourself for it, because they are going to be giving you gifts. You just got to look out for them. So that'll be definitely the first point that I'll be looking at so you can move on from this. Secondly, the second point I've got here is whatever you get in life, what you tolerate. Now, that can be hard to hear, and it was hard for me to hear when I first got told that, is you get in life what you tolerate, but it's very, very true. So it's like, it's not a great example, but I'm going to use it. It's like you'll see people that they get into a really toxic relationship where the partner might cheat on them, or they might treat them poorly, or whatever, and they don't leave that person. And then eventually the relationship does end, and then they get into a relationship when the same shit happens. And I'm not saying this, and obviously there's a very general statement because I'm sure there's people that sit outside of what I'm about to say, but the reason that person got treated like that is they tolerated it. For me, in my relationship with my partner, Georgia, if you're watching this, if you watch this video, if she was to treat me in a way that I didn't appreciate, within reason, because everyone has ups and downs, people have emotional moments, we've all been there before, right? But if she was to change and start treating me really poorly, that I didn't tolerate in my life, I would say, babe, I'm being straight up with you. You keep doing that shit to me and we aren't going to last, and I will leave you because I don't tolerate that shit in my life. I used to, when I was in my business career, I'm obviously still very young in my business career. I've been doing business for about 6-7 years now, and I've got a lot of lessons to learn, long way to go. But early days, I would tolerate a lot of shit from my employees, like rocking up late to our meetings, not being prepared, not getting their outcomes done, not being the people that I need them, because I was too nice and I was too scared to have a tough conversation. In other words, I was tolerating their poor behavior. Versus now, if someone's late to a meeting, obviously there's always reasons why things happen, of course. So we want to clarify what's going on. Hey, look, you're late to the meeting. Is everything okay? No, look, I just want to be honest with you. Bob, John, whatever the name is, that's we rock up on time for our meetings, and we are only as strong as our weakest link, okay? So I just want to be straight up with you. If this happens consistently, there's a big chance that you won't be on this team for a long period of time, because I understand that standard is going to hold the business back and my life back. So my standards in my business career was reflecting my business and reflecting my life. So again, you get in life what you tolerate. So if you're tolerating people who treat you a certain way, like the relationship example, and I've seen it heaps where people get into a relationship, they get treated like shit, they tolerate that, the relationship ends up ending for whatever reason, then they get into another relationship and the same shit happens because they're tolerating that. You get in life what you tolerate. So please, just for yourself to dot this down, is to get really clear on what you do and don't tolerate in people. Because then when you have a list of things that you don't tolerate, you won't accept it. And you can hold people up on it. You can say, hey, look, like say you got a friend or a family member who's treating you a certain way, maybe making comments on your weight or making comments on your life or trying to hold you back. Like you might say, hey, look, I've got these big ambitions to achieve X, Y, Z, and they're trying to hold you back from it. And just say like, look, hey, Sally, John, I want to be upfront with you. I've got big ambitions for my life and I want to fucking change the world and I want to be an incredible father, mother, whatever. I want to do great things. And right now, your negative attitude is holding me back and I don't fucking appreciate it. And I love you because we've been friends for years. We've been through a lot of things together. But right now, you're holding me back from creating the life that I fucking love. And I'm having this conversation because I do value you as a friend. But if you keep doing this, we will no longer be friends. Because why? My future life is more important than someone holding me back from it. So I'm just being upfront with you to give you the opportunity to be aware of what you're doing so you can change that, or with all respect, we're probably not going to be friends for much longer. So being able to understand what you do and don't tolerate in people is a really powerful thing to have. So that would be my second point. So step number one, understand there are benefits to it. So there's benefits to everything in life, right? So understand there's benefits to having those sort of people in your life. They're going to teach you grit, resilience, persistence, all that stuff. And then secondly, get clear on what you do or don't tolerate in people. And maybe a detailed version, people might say, well, maybe it's my family. Maybe it's my parents. I live with them. Well, in that case, depending how old you are and depending on your financial position, depending on what it is, I would be doing everything in your fucking power to leave. Because unfortunately, you can't just say to your parents, stop hanging out with me if you're living with them and they're paying the bills and you're living in their house. So it might be, how have you got a plan to get out of there? So the next point, or this is going to go into my final point, is you just got to leave, guys. You got to leave that shit. You got to get clear on, again, from the start of this video, what does that inspired life look like to you? Life on your terms, freedom, travel, impact, doing what you love, loving what you do. What does that look like? And anyone that's going to stop you from achieving that, you got to cut the cord. You got to rip the Band-Aid off. You got to get out of that shit because it's holding you back. And if you're in that position, like I just said, so say it's your parents, for example, then depending how old you are, depending on your financial position, depending on the life that you're trying to create or your life circumstances. Because again, like I'm speaking generally here because I don't know. I'd have to obviously work through people's individual cases to give some specific advice here. But what I'd be doing is coming up with a plan to get the fuck out of there. Coming up with a plan, whether you need to, I know I'm in Australia, so I'll use Australia as an example. Like you could go get a room for rent. So there's a website called housemates.com. I'm not going to Google it right now, but I used to live there. I use that. I was in a toxic-ish in a toxic environment where the people that I was living with, they weren't negative, they weren't holding me back, but they weren't pushing me forward. And this is something that Tony Robbins is huge on, is you're growing or you're dying. You're going forward or you're going backwards. There's no in between. Think about this. When you're plateauing and not moving forward in life, like you're taking action, you're making no progress, how the fuck does that feel? It feels shit. So you're growing or you're dying. No in between. So get really clear on, understand what I just said then. So I was kind of in between. I wasn't growing. So I just made the decision. I needed to move out. And I'd never lived on my own before. It was nervous, it was scary, all that good stuff. And I just found a place on housemates.com. This is in Australia. And it was $150. $150 a week. So $150, I had my own little bathroom. It was a little ensuite. It was in a not such expensive area. But it's like, it was worth it for me to not be around that toxic fucking energy, not those limiting beliefs, those little chips that people, oh, you work too hard, or you won't be successful, you're not good enough, who are you kidding yourself, you're never going to do that, you're whatever beliefs people give you, right? Because the words people say is a reflection of their internal world, their shit that they're still working through, right? So what I would be doing, to go back to the point, is say you're in a position where those negative people are like your family members, like your parents or maybe your siblings. I would be coming up with a plan, depending how old you are, depending on your circumstances, depending on what it is that you can do, a plan to move on as soon as you can. And that's going to inspire you and motivate you to do it faster. Because holy shit, even though I was obviously, because I wasn't paying rent at home to then moving out and having to pay rent. Yes, I was paying rent, and not, I guess my living expenses went up, but my quality of life was so much better. I was happier. I could enjoy my own thoughts. I could meditate more. I could prime myself. I could do more learning, do more podcasting. I could have a good morning routine that I really appreciated. Like I remember I had like my affirmations on a mirror in my bathroom with the people I was living with, and they would just give me shit for it. Like, oh, what the fuck are these? Blah, blah, blah. So now what I do, well, when I moved, I could have them all around my room. I remember I had like posters all on my wall. Like, I'm a master of my emotions. I'm a master of communication. I'm a master of finances. I attract and create wealth. I regulate my emotions with ease, blah, blah, blah. I'd have all my affirmations all around my room and my bathroom because it was my space. And I could create that energy of what I wanted. So I hope that made sense. So for anyone, anyone that's to summarize all the points, is number one, understand the benefits of being around negative people. They're going to teach you grit. They're going to teach you persistence. They're going to teach you resilience. There are benefits to it. So don't dismiss the benefits here. Okay. Number two, get clear on what you don't tolerate in people and be fucking hard on it. And this doesn't just apply to just say negative people. It might be a relationship too. What do you not tolerate in a relationship? Is it, whatever it is, come up with that list and then be hard on it, because remember, whatever you tolerate in life is what you're going to attract. Okay. So be very clear and be down the line, draw a line in the sand. Okay. And anything above that, over that line, you cut it off straight away. Because if you do tolerate it, you'll continue to attract it and have it in your life. And then thirdly, if you happen to be in a position where it's maybe your family members that you're living with, depending on your age, 'cause you might be quite young, is come up with a plan to do it. And even on that, say for example, you're 14. And you're not going to be able to, say, earn income for a while from a job, even though you could certainly make it through social media. There's literally fucking 10-year-olds making millions of dollars online right now. But say you're in a position where you might not have income to move out for a good period of time, like maybe a couple of years. What I'd be doing is I'd be coming up with like a routine where you can have as much of that good energy around you, whether it's yourself or you're listening to podcasts. Like I can't remember who said this, but you want to brainwash yourself with positivity. You want to brainwash yourself with good energy, good information. So podcasting, if you're listening to this right now, you're listening to a podcast, which hopefully you're picking up on some empowering beliefs that I'm sharing with you, rather than listening to your friends or your family members who are just bitching and gossiping and arguing and fighting. Because whatever you consume, you create. If you can, like, people in your life who just continuously gossip about others, bitch and complain, make excuses, and just have a really negative outlook and look at their life of what they're creating, that's because that's what they're consuming, that's what they're picking up on. So a good thing about living in 2022, having access to the internet, is you can consume great content. You can brainwash yourself with positivity. I do this now. So sometimes I go shopping down the supermarket. Sometimes we order it into our house, but sometimes I literally went there yesterday. So we just needed a couple things. I shot down to the grocery store. I live in Pimpama. I know there's a couple people that would watch this live around there. And I guess it's a lower economical kind of suburban stuff. And sometimes I've walked through there and like people kind of like give you like death stares and all that stuff. And it's sometimes not the best energy around there. And I'm just being transparent here. So what I do is I put AirPods in. I haven't got them here, but I put headphones in and I put on a podcast And then I'm in my own zone and I'm just going through and I'm just doing my shopping while I'm listening to great things. So I'm conditioning myself, conditioning my mind for the energy and the frequency of the life that I want to create. So if you are in a position where you might not necessarily be able to leave that negative attitude, those negative people straight away, do your best to create that environment the best you can, whether that through podcasting, YouTube videos, going to courses, going to events, going to meetups. Like there's people, there's like, again, in Australia, there's an app called meetup.com. Where there's like entrepreneurial business, like-minded events. I always keep referencing my Facebook community group. So if anyone that's listening to this, I have a free Facebook community group designed for this. It's called Create an Inspiring Life, where people can come into the group, consume content like this, be around positive influences like this, and connect with other people. So there's at the moment of this recording, about 150 people in that group where they can connect, add people as friends, and you can start to connect with people who are on the same mission. They want to achieve an incredible life. So there's just maybe some practical tips for people in that position. So I hope that made sense, guys. So just to run through them one more time. Well, before that, I even started the video as well, or through my points, is number one, get clear on a life that you fucking love, an inspired life, and what is the frequency and the energy of that future version of you? What is that person like? Be that person now. Then to take care of those negative people, understand there's benefits to them, so you can actually be grateful for them, even if they are challenging you and giving you some negative energy. There's benefits to that. They're teaching you persistence, resilience, grit, all that good stuff. Whatever you tolerate, you'll get in life. So if you tolerate, get a list of things that you don't tolerate in someone and then be fucking brutal with it. Do not draw a line in the sand. And if they step over it, fucking cut them off, okay? Be super brutal with that. And then 3, leave. Come up with a plan to leave if you're in a sort of a position where you can't necessarily just pick up your shit and leave that person. So come up with a plan to it, whether financially in the future, whatever it is. And then within that, if maybe you've got a couple years until you're going to be able to leave, is then start to condition yourself. Use headphones, use podcasts, use content, use community groups like I mentioned, meet up with people, like connect with people who have the frequency and the energy that you want more of in your life. I hope that made sense. I hope you got some value from this. Thank you for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this with someone that you think will get some value from it. I appreciate you guys listening or watching today. I love you all. Join the community group. If you haven't, go to my Instagram or my TikTok. The link is in the bio, or you can just search Create an Inspiring Life on Facebook. Join the community group. I appreciate that. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video.